If you're a fan of the Marvel superhero movies, many of you may have seen Avengers Endgame, Infinity War. That's when the villain Thanos was front and center in those last two movies. But if you paid attention to some of the earlier movies, you know that he made brief appearances in at least 3 other movies. You see his face in this movie. You see his hand in this other movie. You see the back of his uniform. Even though they didn't call him by name, you saw that he was there and there was a plan that he was working on. So Jesus was saying here that it wasn't just the writers of these superhero movies that had a plan. God had a plan where they didn't call me by name, but you can see my cameo. So in verse 27, Jesus was like a commentator explaining how the appearances and nicknames in the Old Testament talked about him. See, in Genesis, he's the seed of the woman who will one day crush Satan. In Exodus, he's the Passover lamb sacrificed to save us. In Leviticus, he's the high priest making sacrifices to atone for the people. In Deuteronomy, he's called the great prophet. In Joshua, he's the captain of the Lord's host. In Judges, he's a deliverer who heard the people's cries and delivered them. In Ruth, he's the kinsman redeemer. In Joel, he's the hope of his people. In Amos, he's the judge of all the nations. In Obadiah, he tells us of his coming eternal kingdom. In Zephaniah, they call him the king over all of Israel. And Malachi calls him the son of righteousness. Look, if I can believe that a villain in a superhero movie can have a plan to end the world, then I can certainly believe that God can have a plan to save the world. And his name is Jesus. They don't say Jesus, but they're talking about Jesus. God had a plan, and his plan to redeem the world through Jesus Christ has been there from the very beginning, and it's woven through the Old Testament.